What's good? What's good, YouTube? It is your girl Trisha just checking back in with a quick message. Yes, for anybody who's new, welcome in here. Don't forget to press that like, comment, and subscribe. Okay. Anybody who is returning, what's up? Don't forget to drop a comment in here. And if you're not feeling the vibe, please do me a favor and unsubscribe in this season so that my algorithm can pick back up. Okay. But otherwise, it is so good to be back in front of the camera. Um, my life has just been going through so many changes, and it has been beautiful. Also, a very trying time in life, and I have been asking God to do so much more humbling with my soul than anything else. Um, he keeps pushing me into avenues that I just never felt called to be in. I was happy with being a nurse, and I was happy with what I was doing before. It was not, it was sinful, but it was brought peace in my life for me, right? But I never had experienced so much peace as I have over this last year with me actually choosing myself for the first time in life. Um, it was scary because I didn't know what it was going to cost me. And I didn't realize how much isolation it would cause, how many um, denials and rejections it will cause in my life either. Um, it has been a strong battle, not even just with my day-to-day things, but with my finances, with everything. It became a day-to-day struggle for a while. And I was like, why, when I decided to move into a more of a spiritual lane and understand who God is inside of me, or what my powers and capabilities are, um, that things just took a chaotic turn. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm going to tell you, if no one else tells you, there's going to come a time where you just have so many battles that you're just fighting, and you like, what am I fighting for? But you fighting like hell to break off all of those generational curses. You fighting like hell to break off all of the things that was weighing you down. Sometimes just to take it off is the fight. Before you can even pick up your belt of truth, before you can even pick up your whole armor, you got to finish fighting like hell to get all of the sin off of you. And what no one tells you for is that it still reaches for you, and it reaches for you, and it reaches for you. And what I learned over time is that it just gets dressed in better clothing. It's just it's beautiful. It becomes more beautiful. And for a long time I was like, why are these things becoming this this appealing versus you having the right set of tools or eyes to actually see it? And it's not that you're not old enough or wise enough, but spiritual discernment is a muscle. It's a muscle. And it's one of the things that you have to stay constant in and read up in order to see certain aspects, because your obedience, your spiritual awakeness, it's good with any level, but it takes maturity to gain more levels, to get higher, because the attacks, the people, what they don't tell you is that it becomes twice as much the more and more you are open to what God teaches you or shows you about yourself. And it also requires you to be more vulnerable. And as you become more vulnerable, you are more susceptible or more sensitive to the things that's around you. And if you're not careful, it can sweep you in the midst of that. And that is one of the things that I learned along this journey, right, of life. And as I was learning that, um, today, it just kind of made me reflect on the different aspects of the symbolization of the donkey in the Bible. I know, right? The donkey out of all things. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to silence my phone so it doesn't distract me at the same time here. Well, it's silence, but where it doesn't vibrate, just distract me here for just a moment. It's not about me or work or anything, right? It's not about it. But you get to a point in life where you feel like you are experiencing everything and you feel like all of the burdens, everything just kind of dumps down on you, right? When it comes to family, friends, cousins, lovers, everything is all piling up and stacking up on you. And one of the things I learned throughout this time is that it gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming. And in the midst of you being overwhelmed, sometimes you feel like you've been overlooked, overshadowed, underestimated, overestimated. And it's just a whole big ball of chaos. And I wanted to let you know sometimes in life, you're going to feel like the donkey. But I learned in the Bible that the donkey was also important in so many aspects because I had to picture us as the donkey. And I had to understand that our mode of transportation, for God to become one of his excellent servant leaders, you have to actually be just as vulnerable, just as chaotic as a donkey, because you're going to have to understand you're not going to be favored. Eventually, man would approve of you, but you weren't in favor of what he has for you because you become that target and because you're carrying such a precious, what's the word I'm looking for? Precious gift that you don't want to fumble it because you know how easy it is for you to fall out of alignment with what he has for you. And when I was really diving into this, you guys, and really trying to understand where this was going with me, and as I was reflecting today on my walk, I kept hearing donkey, 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 and I was like, why is donkey? Because whenever God usually tell me something, I be like, okay, he about to correct me. And when I be hearing him about to correct me, trust me, not all my corrections is good corrections because I'm like, oh. But this time I knew that I was actually standing in alignment. And I only know that because certain doors that should not be open right now have been opening, and certain things that I'm absolutely was like, I'm not qualified for this. It was easy pass. And I was like, wait, what? Hold on. It's a trick. But but God, he's showing out in my life right now. And I haven't had to be more humble than I have been now. I haven't had to be. And I was so used to fighting you guys for everything. And to not have to fight is actually more scary than fighting because you actually have to learn how to walk in this grace in this season and know that you're not in survival mode, but you're just serving in this season. And when that happened, I had to, in this season, really ask myself, how do me understanding the donkey coincides with the moments that I'm having? And, it's a couple points in the Bible. One of them is when Mary was pregnant and she had to ride out on a donkey, right? In order to escape so that Jesus would be able to be born. And she was fleeing because she understood that nobody at the time understood her being pregnant. And Joseph, who stuck by her side, um, being in that kind of commitment. And I was like, why why is this so? so important. And he was explaining to me that when he's using us as a mode of transportation, he often uses things that are not that appealing to others. It's really just to check our heart posture because most of the times we like things that are glorified, right? So if you would have seen a prestige horse going past bulky and carrying Jesus, we would have looked at that as honor, right? That's honor. That's top notch. If you're getting a horse, that's top notch. But if you're getting a donkey, well, who wants to ride on the ass? Um, and you trying to figure out who's riding this, and he's letting me know that he rides us this way and he transports us this way because sometimes the most powerful things is the things unseen or things that are just kind of every day your eyes ain't attuned to it because you're looking for that shiny gold, right? And he was like, but the real precious or the real metals, whatever you were really needing, you let that go past because you were looking for this shiny thing. You were looking for this glorious thing, right? And he's like, sometimes it's not in what you admire. And I was like, oh. So this was another humbling moment, but this was a different type of humbling moment of him explaining the dunking mode to me. And with all I'm telling you guys, this is when it hits me that I am in my donkey season. um, this is when I realized the donkey is not the destination. This is not. But I said the donkey simply follows the one holding the reins. That's it. So what I learned in this season is as God is holding the reins on you, that is where you're going this season. And I said, this is the same way when we surrender our lives to God. We are saying, Lord, direct my path. Lead me where you want me to go. We may not always understand the journey, but we trust the one who's guiding us. Just like the donkey, we have to be able to trust where God is leading us in this season. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was so used to always being so stubborn and set in my ways. And last year, uh, with me refusing to want to obey a command, it's amazing how he will force you then to do it. And I'm like, wait, bro. So that is one of the things I'm learning in this season is that sometimes he don't really give you a choice if he's saying you're that man for the job or you that woman for the job. He's going to make sure that you see that because one of the things he knows is that once he opens your eyes, he will not dare let you close them. Okay. And once he lets you see, and you did like David and tasted it, oh, and see that the Lord is good, you don't want anything. And actually, whenever you do step out of his presence or his mercy or his grace or his faith, you find yourself in a whirlwind. And I do understand one thing, if I haven't understand anything else, that even when you step out of grace, that call on him because he's sufficient. And that is one of the things that I found this is why we need to stay so close to him. Not in season, but out of season. And I'm going to tell you, if I didn't stay close to him, even in my out of season moment, I would have been in more trouble than I am now because I would have had a different hold. And I was trying to see, I had mixed up my notes, y'all, when I was just talking and not really looking down at them. But I told myself in this season, when people are leaning on us, our children who's leaning on us, our friend who is leaning on us, our community that is leaning on us, the people we mentor, encourage, teach, and serve often depend on us in ways they never fully understand. That is why being in this Duncan season matter in understanding how to master it because we're serving people, but we belong to God. And that is what the donkey does. It serves the people who is pulling the reins. And right now, everybody I feel is pulling at the reins. But one of the things I learned is that you really have to learn how to hear God, drown noise, and stay focused and stay grounded. And I didn't realize in the midst of all of this that He was gonna give me spiritual parents who held me accountable at a whole nother level in this season. And that is incredible because I gained more parents in this season. And although I have my mom and my dads, because I got two, um, I also needed spiritual parents, the ones who actually was going to sit down and be like, daughter, no, this is what you're going to do. And it has been lovely because I've been going back and forth to this church for the longest. And then this was the time where they were like, we not doing that. You're not gonna double dabble, you're gonna sit your butt down and we gonna do this. And in this season when I was understanding this donkey season, sometimes you don't know certain characteristics about yourself. Like some we are pretty self-aware, but this season I learned that when he said sit down, I was laughing because it reminded me of how I always say, um, you can't run. And one of the things I learned about myself is that sometimes I am a runner. And I was like, oh my God, when I had loved to always pride myself on knowing that I was this big fighter and didn't realize how guarded I had to make my heart. And I thought I was opening up to the point where it was freely able to flow. And then I jump in the midst of church again. And just meaning corporately, where you got to actually be held accountable and doing work and serving and serving and serving. And it's one thing when you're serving the people that you bring in, but I also understood that a piece of me was missing, a piece of making sure that my kids understood, besides just watching church on television, had to change and make sure that they were actually growing up as servants as well. Um, it changes your perspective, I think, on life and where God wants you to go. I feel like this is just a dear diary day, you guys, more than it is me like actually preaching. Um, um, so just know that he will strengthen you in this season and give you great clarity. And when that happens, I want you to remember how the prophecy was fulfilled when Jesus rode in to Jerusalem on that donkey and he was able to get praised and shouted, Hosanna forever, you know. Ah, he said, you're going to have your moment where you are hoping that transition to where people is calling on Jesus, where people is calling on God and they're glorifying him. And sometimes it's going to be the mode of transportation. It's going to be you. Right now, I can tell you as an example of me just doing and moving in different avenues in my life at this moment that I always have to remember what I'm doing it for, who I'm doing this for, and most of all, being able to know exactly where we're going with this destination. And when you become the donkey, when you become the mode of transportation, you got to remember who's pulling the rein. You got to remember who's holding your hand and not getting that confused in this season is critical. Or at least that's what I'm understanding. It's so critical in this season that you just don't let God go. And for me, I'm not letting him go. So anybody who's connected to me, don't let him go in this season, but rather hold on tightly to him. Hold on so tight because there's a struggle in the shift that's happening. And it's dependent on you being thrown off your square, you not knowing who you are, and you not being grounded. And I want you to know, keep your eyes on God because he's not going to throw you off course. But anyway, for anybody who um, has checked in and you got to this point, well, thank you for watching the video. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's your girl Trisha just checking back in and letting you guys know that we're in our donkey season. And I don't want you to look at this season as something bad, as something awful, but I do want you to acknowledge that right now you are a mode for the transportation that's about to happen. And as you are the transportation of things that are about to unfold, I want to make sure you know who's pulling the reins in this season and allow it to guide you, show you, grow you, and direct that path. As always, we are in our each one teach one season. So again, if you see your brother or sister crown tipping, you help them fix it. Don't knock it off. Don't be the reason it's tipping. Until next time, y'all take it easy and don't forget to love on each other because we are all we got.